Today, I'm joined by my Galesburg High School 1981 classmate, Mark Reed, a true Silver Streaks legend. As a star quarterback of the 1980 state playoff team, a longtime assistant coach, and a Hall of Fame inductee at both Monmouth High School and Monmouth College, Mark has been a cornerstone of Galesburg area football for over 4 decades. From leading the Streaks to an unbeaten Western Big Six title in 1980 to coaching under icons like Kelly Kane, his impact runs deep. So today we're going to relive his playing days, his coaching career, and thoughts about the past and future of Streaks football. So, Mark, thanks for joining me.
Thanks, Chad. Appreciate it.
Yeah, been looking forward to this one. So let's start. Let's go back to our senior year, 1980, Galesburg football team. You guys were coming off a 6-3 season the year before. Didn't make the playoffs. Tougher to make it back then. What were the expectations heading into that 80 season?
When we came into our senior year, there was a lot of juniors that didn't have an opportunity to play because there were seniors that Coach Kane had set his mind to and wanted to play. So when they had left, we all decided that summer that we thought there was going to be something pretty special.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, there were a few guys that played. Gary Pugh, Kurt Bell played as juniors, but pretty much the rest of us didn't get a chance. So when we started against Sterling, it was always going to be what's it going to be like, and it turned out really well. Sterling was a really, really, really good team, and we actually played really well. So we kind of had an idea that we had something special going on.
Talk about the makeup of that 1980 team. You know, you mentioned Kurt Bell and Gary Pugh. I mean, it was really a special group. You guys went 8-2. Like I said, won the Big Six title undefeated, earned the second state playoff bid in school history. Who were some of the key players, and what made that team click, do you think?
I just think that we all bought into Coach Kane and what he was instilling in all of us. When you look at it, there's 5 to 6 Hall of Famers that were on that team, and you look at the caliber of not only players but the caliber of people that were involved. I mean, you have Gary Pugh, myself, Kurt Bell, Todd Peterson, Steve Peachy, Jay Harding, offensively that were really good. Kevin Johnson was really good. Mark Martin was a fullback, was really good. Calvin Hawthorne was a flanker, really good. And then you throw a guy like Phil Goodman, who couldn't play because Gary Pugh was there.
Right.
We put him at split receiver, and he was exceptional as well. And then you go to the defensive side with Peachy and Jamie Rundle, linebackers. You have Stu Pyatt and Brent Stanley at safeties. You have Robbie Anderson, who was a junior that him and Dan Noe were the only 2 juniors that played that year. And obviously Kurt played both ways. And once you put all that together, turned out to be pretty special.
Yeah. Tell me, what was the season like? You mentioned that Sterling game. Kind of walk us through, not each week necessarily, but, how'd the season go for you?
Had a hiccup against Danville. We lost, I can't remember, we lost by a couple points. And after that game, we kind of turned it up a notch and started playing really, really, really well. Had a tough game against Alleman. And the thing I remember the most is the Rocky game. We ended up playing on Saturday.
I remember that game.
And while we were playing, it started snowing.
It was brisk.
There was no snow on the ground, but it started playing, and I thought that was pretty special. We ended up winning that game and accomplished something that we all hoped for.
Yeah. How about heading into the playoffs? What were your expectations?
Back then it was tough to decide who and where, and as far as film and to get an idea of who you were playing. I know it was Belleville who we were playing. We had to travel to Belleville, actually, and it was on a Wednesday because we always played that first game on a Wednesday. You didn't get a chance to prep very much. So as a 17-year-old kid, you don't think much about it. You just want to play football, and hopefully the best happens. And then, unfortunately it didn't.
Yeah. Talk about that game a little bit. How'd it go?
It was a back and forth game. I don't remember much about it. I just know that there was it wasn't like they were better than us and we were better than them. It was a point where we just kept going back and forth, and they ended up coming over on us and taking care of business and beating us. I think maybe by 7-10 maybe.
Okay.
I don't remember the final score, but
talk about the Churchill-Lombard rivalry, something that no longer exists, but how challenging was it to bring players together, Blue Streaks, Zephyrs? I've talked to Kurt and Jeff, and they said that you kind of played a role in uniting, kind of the 2 schools.
Yeah, when you show up to high school as sophomores, you are very, very hesitant on not only being able to develop a friendship, but to become athletes with those guys developing friendships. And And the only thing I can remember most is the fact that when we showed up, and Gary and I were kind of the guys that we were going to be the go-between. And Gary never communicated. I mean, he was quiet, really, really good football, but he was always quiet. So I thought it was important for me to make friends. So those friends were Kurt Bell, Stu Pyatt, were the main two, because I knew that Stu and Kurt kind of held that group together, especially Kurt. And it was important to me to develop some kind of kinship with those guys. And when I did that, then guys like Todd Peterson and Jay Harding and the guys that I played with at Lombard were going to say, okay, Mark's buying into Churchill. And actually, the cohesion went pretty easy, easier than I thought it would, to tell you the truth.
Did it actually get, did it get started before the football season started?
Actually, it was the summer right before football. Yeah, because Coach Kane obviously brought everybody in. We had camp. We lifted weights, went through things that Coach Kane designed for us to do, and that's exactly when we started developing that kinship.
Okay. Jay Redfern here. I'm talking to former Silver Streak and Mama Scott, Mark Reed. Kelly Kane was just settling in as Streak's coach back then. What made him such an effective leader and coach?
I think there's a couple things. Obviously, he's an intelligent individual, and his football IQ was second to none. And we knew that if he was mentioning that if you do A, B, C, and D, then you're going to be successful. Never talked about wins, never talked about losses, always knew that if you follow what I'm trying to preach, things are going to work out well. And we all bought into it. And, when you have success, we were 8-1 as sophomores with Bill Allison, and we knew that if we kept doing what he was preaching, that we were going to be okay.
I asked Greg Turner this a couple weeks ago, and did you know at the time how special of a coach he was?
Absolutely not.
You didn't?
No. At 15, 16, 17, you just want to go out. You want to play football. You want to play basketball. You don't have any idea until you're gone how special it was. And we never realized. Like I said, it was just, go to practice, go to a game, go to school, start it all over again.
Yeah.
And not until I got in college and not until I got away from everything, you realize how special all those guys really were.
Yeah. Obviously he had talented players, but what were the keys to his success at Galesburg? Was it his X's and O's, his organization, motivation, probably a little bit of all of the above?
I think it's all of the above. The guy was so well organized. He coached hard. All his assistant coaches coached hard. They knew how to talk to players, which I thought was real important. And
who were your assistants back then?
Who's that?
Who were the assistants when you were playing?
It would have been Coach DeVore was the line coach, and there was Coach Kane, there was Coach Albright, and then as the sophomore there was Coach Bill Allison, Coach Dave Peck, Coach Gary Wager. So that whole nucleus worked together to get us to play pretty well.
I can't stress this enough. I always bring it up. Back then, it was like a golden era of coaches, I thought. Not just the head coaches who get the wins and losses, but the assistant coaches. They were so good.
Oh, absolutely. And that goes without saying, because the whole time you're going through this whole process as a 16-year-old kid, you just look for people that you can kind of gravitate to make you a better person. Because I really think that's important. And those guys did exactly that for everybody. And the good thing about it was, it wasn't me, it wasn't Kurt, it wasn't Todd Peter. It wasn't Steve Peachy. It was everybody. They included everybody. Not just the guys that were on the field, but the guys actually that didn't play very much. And that's why, we had about 60-some kids at that level, and they wanted to be a part of something. And I think that was so special about that, because I think the coaches made it that way for us.
You played for Coach Kane at both Galesburg and Monmouth, and then you coached with him. Were there any noticeable changes in his style or philosophy throughout the years that you were with him?
Oh, absolutely not. I got to appreciate him more when I got to Monmouth, because he kind of instilled in me the knowledge of the game, because it was so important with a triple option that I played a big factor in that, because I had to make decisions and change things at the line of scrimmage that he gave me total control to do. So I had to sit with him, and he had to say, okay, this is what they're going to get in. If they get in that's what you need to do. So I learned to appreciate a lot more as I got older. And then when I started coaching with him, it got even better because now he was sitting. I was kind of a peer of his,
Yeah.
and now he was trying to teach me not only from a player standpoint, now from a coaching standpoint. So I thought that was really interesting, and I to this day appreciate everything because that made me the person I am today.
Yeah. What do you think enabled him to build winning cultures, both at Galesburg and Monmouth, anywhere he was really? I mean, did he have any special, like routines or approaches that stood out from other that maybe didn't do the same?
I just think that he coached hard. He got kids to believe in what he was coaching. And once that happens, it's amazing what a 16 and 17-year-old kid. I mean, he even left Monmouth, and when he left Monmouth, he went to Streeter.
Right.
And has success at Streeter, and Streeter never has success.
Yeah.
So I just think that him being able to talk to kids, being able to encourage kids, being able to let them know that, hey, if you do what I ask you to do, if you get in the weight room, if you have discipline, then guess what's going to happen? You're going to have success not only here at football, but you're going to have success in life as well.
Right. Jay Redfern talking to former Silver Streak and Monmouth Fighting Scott, Mark Reed. So you spent many years coaching various levels, under Coach Kane at Monmouth and at Galesburg, of course, but you never took on a head coaching role. Was that ever a goal of yours, and any regrets that you didn't ever get that opportunity?
Absolutely not. I talk with Jeff Flater a lot about this because he always asks me that same question. And for some reason, I was always comfortable being an Indian.
Mm-hmm.
I loved being a part of coaching kids, not only to get them better football-wise and do what Coach Kane did me, but get them ready for after football. I just wanted to coach football. I didn't want to do all the extras. I didn't want to bus schedule. I didn't want to talk to reporters. I didn't want to talk to the paper. I just wanted to coach football, and that's what those coaches let me do. In other words, they didn't ask me to speak on the radio. They didn't ask me to do halftime stuff. I was a type of guy that wanted to be in the back,
mm-hmm.
getting kids ready to play the game of football or basketball, because I coached basketball for 13 years as well.
Right.
And that to me was more important than anything, because I wasn't in it for me. I was in it because the people that coached me to get me to be a better person, I wanted to try to instill that in them.
Talk about, not to go too far back, but, where did you become a football player? I mean, what started your interest in football?
Jay, the crazy thing is I walked onto the field, and I think it might have been Nielsen School, and Dan McMillan was standing there. I was an 8-9-year-old kid, and as I walk up to him, and all my brothers played on that same team as my brother Pat, brother Steve, and he looked at me, he goes, "Mark, you're our quarterback." And it's the craziest thing, and I look at him, I said, "Quarterback?" He goes, "Mark, you're our quarterback." Of course, play a little defense too, but I want you to be our quarterback. And from that day, he gave me the number 10, Jay. And from that day, I went to Lombard, I went to Galesburg, and I went to Monmouth College. It's the craziest thing ever. I didn't go in there thinking that. It's just that Dan McMillan said, "Mark, you're our quarterback," and here we are.
It's stuck, huh?
Yeah.
I spoke to Chris Stiles earlier this week. He coached the Silver Streaks from 88 to 91. He had some really strong praise for you. He called you the cornerstone of his staff. And he said what made it a great match was because you knew the option offense inside and out, and you had incredible communication skills, and then you had a knack for connecting people. How do you reflect on your time with Coach Stiles?
When he first got the job, he called me, and because he knew that Sean Kane, our quarterback, obviously had that same kind of background that I had with option football, because he saw me do it at Monmouth College. He saw his dad do it, and he thought the best thing to do would be get a hold of me and say, "Hey, why don't you come coach with me, and let's see if we can't turn this whole thing around." And obviously I was excited about it. I mean, we were both in our 20s. We're both young. And the most I like about Coach Stiles is that guy had nothing but energy. I mean, every day he showed up to work, and it reflected on the kids as well, because that guy was everywhere. He coached hard. And the best thing I like about him was he held every kid accountable. He believed in the weight room. So he believed in all the things that I believed in. So it was easy for me to follow. That way we both connected, and it worked out well for us. I mean, we started off slow, but man, once we got the kids rolling, man, we were really, really good.
Yeah. He shared a story about a game-changing call play that you made 1990 against United Township, homecoming game. You remember this play I'm going to tell you about?
Yes, I do.
30 seconds left, he says. You called the RT Flex 332 triple R from the press box, and instructing Sean Kane to pump fake to Mickey Johnson and throw a go route to CJ Ramage, and then resulting in the game-winning TD. Walk us through that moment.
Well, the last part I remember. The play I do not.
Okay.
The play I do not. That's where
See,
Coach
he remembered it. Yeah.
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 For him to remember, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Because I would
And he
never
remembered
even,
it. I mean, I reached out to him, and then like a minute later, he's saying that. So
Yeah,
it's not
that's-
like he had time to research everything.
No, that's crazy. Yeah. And that's another thing I liked about Coach. He let me coach, and he was always receptive to ideas. For some reason, I just kept seeing defensive backs keep drawing on Mickey because Mickey was such a threat to us. And then for some reason, we had this special play that Mickey, anytime Mickey hooked, we had CJ releasing, and sure as heck, they bit on Mickey, and Sean threw a perfect pass to CJ, and it was a touchdown. And luck has a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
And obviously, there's an appreciation that him saying that I made that call. He didn't have to,
Yeah.
and he knows that.
Yeah.
But that's always appreciated that he do something like that.
How does that feel? You know, you often hear, what's the difference between being a player, you were a great player, and you were a great coach? What's the feeling? And did you have enjoyment over either playing or coaching?
You know, it's about the same to me because as a quarterback, you're kind of the coach.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you had to figure a way to get kids to follow, your peers to follow, or as a coach to get the kids to follow. And I based all my stuff on character. Character was real important to me. You know, do the right things, be where you're supposed to be. And I thought that if I did that, I would, instead of never boisterous, never yelled very much, coach maybe a little bit, but as a player, I felt that if I shown the other guys that I played with that I had good character, that they would kind of follow. And I kind of took that with me when I coached because it was important to me that I wanted to make sure that the players respected me, and I know they did respect me, but knew that I was of good character, and that was really important to me.
You know, the Streaks they were good in the 70s, obviously had a strong run in the 80s, but, you know, consistent success has been tougher since then. From your perspective, what are some of the biggest challenges that face Galesburg football?
You know, football's such a hard game. It takes dedication. I'm not saying the kids aren't dedicated, but it takes time for a kid to develop to become a good football player. And that's time in the weight room. That's film study. That's having a coach that has assistant coaches that want to work just as hard as he is in the offseason to get those kids to be better football players. I'm sure it's still kind of happening that way, but I wish I had the answer to that. I really do. It's almost like you need like a Pied Piper where some guy walks in and all of a sudden the guys go, man, I kind of like this guy. I kind of like to be around this guy because I think he's going to make me a better person. And sometimes that doesn't happen because there's such a turnover that you never get that consistency. And you always hope that there's going to be one guy to say, okay, now this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be here for a long time. I want to try to start developing younger programs, try to get better each and every day. But that's just a difficult thing to do. Basketball and baseball is a little easier.
I was going to say, it's so much easier, and not easy, but basketball, you know, you can turn it around, one or two players. Baseball, if you have a great pitcher, but football, I mean, it takes everybody pulling together.
Absolutely. And that's, you know, when Doherty came in, we were fortunate enough to have a guy like Peyton Isaacson. And you had his group of guys, the Ben Holloways, the Chris Andersons, that kind of followed because we got those guys involved at a young age because when Coach Doherty showed up, those guys were freshmen. So we had 4 years with those guys to develop weight room, accountability, be where you're supposed to be, do the right things. And they all bought into that. And that's why we ended up winning a conference championship their senior year because they believed in Coach Doherty. They believed in what Coach Doherty was preaching. They believed in me. They believed in the coaching staff that Coach Doherty had developed. And we were fortunate enough to, you know, get another conference championship that way.
Right. You know, football can be a tough sport to attract players, especially when the program has been struggling. You know, and I know Sean Hickey's emphasized, you know, getting participation up. But from your experience, are there players that are out there so-called walking the halls that aren't playing? And how do you get them to play?
I wish I could answer that. I'm so far removed from that now. I don't see kids anymore. I don't know who the kids are anymore. I've been retired 6 years now from being around the school district. I used to see that all the time when I was involved with school district stuff with the maintenance department. But I'm so far removed. I wish I could answer that question. But there's, I'm sure there are.
Yeah.
And we just go back to the same thing. You know, do they want to or do they have the discipline to get in the weight room every day, to do what coaches ask you to do every day. And, maybe they do, maybe they don't, but that's an answer that is a tough one to answer.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. As a Hall of Fame inductee and one of Galesburg's best ever, what advice would you give to the current Silver Streaks that want to carry on the legacy?
My big thing's character, doing the right thing the right way. I think that's really important. You have to be accountable. You can't just show up and think you're going to be a good football player. You have to work at your craft. In order to work at your craft, you have to do things besides just that hour and a half practice. Whether it's football, basketball, baseball, there's always something that you need to do to get yourself better. And if you don't want to get yourself better and you don't want to work at your craft, then you can just be that average person. I mean, people don't like average. I mean, I don't like average.
Right.
And that's one thing I always push is, I don't like let's be better than average today. Let's get better today. And that's a tough thing for a kid to do. I mean, it really is, because you have to buy into that. And Jay, if you don't buy into that, you're not gonna get up at 6 in the morning and go work out and lift weights. You're not going to get up and say, okay, let's do some 7-on-7 today. Let's throw the football around. But it's like when I was at Monmouth, Kurt Bell and I would every day we'd go to Brad's gym and we'd work out because we knew that we had to get stronger in order to be better.
Right.
Because we could have played, but we would have been average. I mean, who likes average? In order to get better, you needed to get in the weight room. You need to get stronger, faster, bigger, and if a kid's determined to do that, you can have success. But if you can't get a kid to do that, then you're swimming the wrong way.
Yeah. You mentioned you've been retired for a few years. Any chance you'll ever come back to coaching? And what do you miss the most?
I miss being around the kids. I really do, because I knew I had an impact.
Yeah.
And I listened to the stuff that you have had guys come in here. The Peytons, the Jerrys, the Sean Canes, and stuff, and they mention my name, which to me is greatly appreciated. That means I did something right. And that's always been important to me, because I've always wanted to coach how I was coached. And Coach Kane instilled that in me. I didn't know it at the time, but not only did he make me a better footballer, but a better person, a better father. So I was able to reflect that on the guys that I had coached. Could I coach now? Absolutely not. I'm old school. I want kids to be there when they're asked to be there. I don't give them choices. Kids don't need to have choices. That's why they're kids. I don't like kids that answer questions. I like kids that listen. I'm not saying they do that now, but that's kind of how I was raised. You have 2 ears for a reason and one mouth, because you need to listen more and speak less. And that's kind of how I was raised. I always thought that you need to listen to somebody that knows what's going on. Don't need an excuse for anything. Just do what we ask you to do. And that's kind of how we were raised. So
you're not going to be back on the football field anytime soon.
No,
huh?
and you know what the crazy thing is? Taylor Thiel, God bless him, tried to get me to come out and do some basketball stuff. And I would really love to do something like that. I'm just too old now, Jay.
Okay. Let's finish up with the rapid fire round. I'm going to give you a prompt and you give me your first thoughts. So how about Silver Streak's idol or idols growing up?
The crazy thing is that I didn't see a high school football game or basketball game till I was a sophomore.
Really?
I never went to it. My dad always worked. He was on the railroad. So he had the vehicle. My mom didn't drive because there was no vehicle to drive. And the first football game I saw was and basketball game is when I was actually a player.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So I really didn't know. I knew about Galesburg football and basketball, but I didn't know about the people involved.
Okay. How about unsung hero on that 1980s Streaks team?
Oh, that's easy. There's two guys that come to mind right away. Jay Harding, who was my center, not only at high school, he was my center at Lombard. He's my size, 170 pounds, and he went against guys 20, 30 pounds heavier than you, because everybody played a 50 front. So there was always somebody in his face all the time. And the other one would be Kevin Johnson. KJ was starter both ways, all conference both ways, a great baseball player. Those two guys that really brings to mind that hardly anybody ever talk about. Those two were pretty special.
Yeah, not to get off track, but I mean, you guys were so close, that group. And everybody likes to say, oh, we were a great class. But, I mean, I've had other people tell me the same thing about that class of 81. And you guys, a lot of you guys are still friends today.
Oh, absolutely. Kurt Bell, Jeff Flater, and I, every year we go to a college football game. Went to Ole Miss 2 years ago, went to Vanderbilt this year. Brent Stanley's mom and dad still live in Knoxville, so when he comes back, I get to spend time with him. See KJ all the time, see Steve Peachy all the time. We went to breakfast not too long ago with Jay Harding and Steve Peachy. It's people say it, but we mean it when we do it. I mean, the people that we hang with, Todd Peterson, Jeff and I always do something on Friday together, hang out together. I mean, it's something that's pretty special.
Yeah.
And you know, we always talk about, I mean, went to college for 4 years, and I don't have any friends like I have at the high school.
Right.
And that's what I found, you know, which is nice. And actually it helps because I'm a Galesburg guy. So I've
Right.
been in Galesburg. I haven't gone anywhere. So those guys are able to come back. Stu Pyatt I still talk to every day. I mean, it's just we are really, really good friends.
Yeah.
And to say that after 40 years is not easy to say.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, back to the rapid fire. 4th and goal at the 2-yard line with your 1980 team. What play are you going to run?
We're giving Gary Pugh a sweep with
I knew you were going to say that.
With Peachy leading. I mean, that's easy. And you know what? I can remember the play. It's a 38 sweep or a 37 sweep because Peachy's rolling or Todd Peterson's rolling and Gary's following him.
Yep, and it works most of the time,
Oh,
right?
absolutely. Absolutely.
Did you ever get the audible?
In high school,
Yeah.
never.
Okay, never.
College, all the time.
Really?
Yeah. High school, he never, because everything was pretty much set in high school.
Okay.
In other words, he kind of had the idea of what we were doing. In college, because college's defense has changed so much in those 4 or 5 years, that I was able to get to a line of scrimmage and do some things that sometimes not to his liking, but most of the time he gave me full liberty to do. And of course, that's something we've always talked about before we went to the into the game. But oh yeah, college all the time.
Okay. How about college or pro coach that you'd love to shadow for a week?
Nick Saban.
Okay.
Nick Saban.
Why would you say that?
Because I think that he not only teaches the game of football, he teaches a game of life. And I would guess that he thinks that's more important than teaching coaching football is getting kids to be great fathers, great husbands, great people in the society. I mean, whenever I hear him talk, it's always about football, but what football does later in life for you because you did exactly what I asked you to do. So and that's not only going to make you a better football player, it's going to make you a better person.
Okay. Does Mark Reed have a better chance of completing a 40-yard pass or sinking a 40-yard putt?
Oh, 40-yard pass. Easy.
Really? Okay.
Oh, easy. Yeah. I have trouble with 3-foot putts.
Okay. How about one word to describe Coach Kane?
Intelligent, football, IQ through the roof, great person. He has taught me so much in my life, not only in football-wise, but to be a really good father. And that to me means everything because I kind of instill in my girls the same things that he instilled in me to try to get them to be better people as well. And what he did for me that way, even more than my father did, because I was almost around Coach Kane more than I was my father, especially later in life. I thought that's pretty special.
Okay. Finally, Galesburg. What does Galesburg mean to Mark Reed?
Well, Jay, like you, I've been here
We're
my
here,
whole
right?
life, and I love this place. I've had great success here. I've had a great career here. The school district treated me unbelievable. I had a 40-year career with them. My daughters were raised here. Now they're both nurses. I have no complaints about Galesburg. It's been nothing but a good place for me to live, for my family to live. My wife's a nurse. She's lived here her whole life as well. I just think it's a special place.
Okay, that wraps up our Galesburg football interview, Mark. We go way, way back, and I'm really proud of all the contributions you've made to Galesburg and Monmouth and all areas sports on and off the field. So thanks for joining me on WGIL.
Jay, I appreciate it. If I could say one thing to finish, I appreciate what you have done the last 40 years. And I know it's not just me speaking, but for what you've done, not only radio-wise, but in print, to educate people, not only in sports, but other venues, is really appreciated. And I think that's something that should be said that's never said, because you're kind of that guy that just does this just because it's important to you. And sometimes that's not said enough. But I want you to know that, you're greatly appreciated, not just by me, but of the people that you interview. They've always said great things about you. Kurt Bell always says great things about you. Jeff Flater does as well. So you're greatly appreciated, just so you know that.
I appreciate that very much.
Absolutely.
Okay, thanks, Mark.
Yep.